wasn't he on one of those award shows? And he was
he was on an award show recently.
He was giving an award and had to read off a teleprompter.
Yes.
There's so much that could be said on both sides of this, on 50 Cent's side and on Floyd's side. If Floyd has an eye issue where he needs to have that addressed, get it done.
Right.
You see, we as a people, we have this culture about us that when somebody is down, you make jokes about it. You make jokes about it. You encourage hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of others to laugh with you at this person. We are in a state now. We need to build each other up, help each other up and out of whatever situations that we are in, because we only have each other. I could go on about this for a long time. That's why I said what I said in the beginning, and I want to end it there because, like I said, this is a serious issue within our culture.
Well, I'm gonna jump in for a second though, because there was something about that I wanted to at least comment on, because you mentioned in particular that the reading issue, especially with college age athletes and younger athletes, it's a particular black problem, and that's where I disagree. Only in that it's damaging to say that it's particular to the black community. This happens across all ethnicities, all colors, all nationalities. And something that I publicly stated on the show that I'm struggling with is, on one hand, not agreeing with, let's say, our current college system when it comes to athletics, as well as all the levels below that, high school and pre-high school athletics, how they handle education. Because on the one hand, I think these athletes that are generating billions of dollars in revenue, they should be afforded a significant piece of the pie. I truly believe that. I truly believe that the system should be changed to reflect that. On the other hand, I also have to recognize and acknowledge that my suggestions are essentially keeping young men of age out of school for X number of years where they actually should be at school. So it's not just black students or it's not just black athletes. This is happening across the board. So this is every ethnicity that you can think of. Anybody who has a dream of playing professional sports and going through the NCAA college system, they are potentially at a disadvantage. Are there reasons why the black community might be under more of a disadvantage? Absolutely. So understand this is not a complete, sweeping denial of it. But I always try to say that sometimes it's not always good to say it's particular to our community, because, listen, there are just as many white folks who are dealing with this and struggling with this. There are people who will tell you that it's more black people. You got to look at the numbers and sometimes realize that it's not. That's number one. Number two, there comes a certain point where I start to sit back and say, well, wait a minute. Just because he's a black athlete doesn't mean he's above reproach. And, yes, I'm also putting a little filter and recognizing that I've stated publicly that I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather. So that's on the table. But here's the thing. Just because he's a black athlete doesn't mean that he should get a pass from being made fun of. Just because he's a black athlete doesn't mean he should get a pass from being put in a certain light, especially when he has generated a character that gets money off of controversy. Now, I've had every Floyd Mayweather defender come up and tell me, oh, this is just a character. This is not the real him. This is not who he is. And I step back and I take it with a grain of salt. Why? Because I've never shaken hands with the man. I've never broke bread with him. So I don't know the difference between the real Floyd Mayweather Jr. and the character that we see on television, the character that we see on the 24/7 shows and everything else. I think that there's a very blurred line between those characters, and whether you talk about one side of the character or the other, he's not exactly beyond reproach. There are certain individuals where you can say, okay, well, I got to raise my arms up a little here because every single piece of evidence about the person, both personally and professionally, is at this high level. Floyd Mayweather is not in that caliber of people.
Not at all.
Does that mean he deserves to be made fun of on a one-on-one personal level? Not really. But just to say, well, you know, black people, we need to come together, I got news for you, man. I want you to tell me the one civilization or the one group of people where they're 100% unilaterally together, because I don't know that section of people. I know a lot of individuals, and I know a lot of individuals who make choices. I know a lot of individuals who choose to put out a personality and leave themselves out there to be ridiculed in some cases. Because, again, we've got somebody who's playing a character on television, but is blurring the line between real life and the character. And in our own group, in our own Facebook group, we had quite heated discussions, or others have had quite heated discussions, about that blurred line. You know, I'm not going to go into specifics about it because this is not the time and place for it, but the point is the discussion was about the blurred line. So I guess all I'm saying is, if you're out there, money, 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 look at me, I'm the money man, well, that's not a character that's beyond reproach.
No.
It's not. So if you're going to put it out there, you got to be able to take some, too.